Good evening, everyone, from Winnipeg. On behalf of Conflict and Resilience Research Institute Canada, I'm honored to welcome you all to today's webinar titled Changing Nature of Power and Importance of the Indian Ocean, a Bangladesh Perspective. This event is part of our ongoing commitment to fostering informed dialogue on global strategic shifts and their implications for South Asia, particularly Bangladesh, through our Peace in Myanmar project. We are especially grateful to Global Affairs Canada for supporting this initiative, which aligns with Canada's broader Indo Pacific strategy, a strategy that emphasizes inclusive governance, sustainable development, and regional security cooperation. The audience, today's discussion is both timely and critical. The Indian Ocean, once seen primarily as a conduit for trade, has now emerged as a central arena in the evolving geopolitical contest. The United States Indo Pacific strategy underscores this shift, identifying the region as the epicenter of 21st century geopolitics. It emphasizes freedom of navigation, economic connectivity, and strategic partnership to counterbalance rising regional assertiveness. The audience, before I proceed, let me do the treaty recognition. Conflict and Resilience Research Institute Canada is located on original lands of Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and on the homeland of Métis Nation. We all are treaty people, and we are promise bound to work together in the spirit of reconciliation and truth. The audience, let me have the privilege to set the scene for our esteemed guest today, who is a subject matter expert and served many, many years in the realm of strategy and policy. The Indian Ocean has once again become a focal point of strategic competition among major powers, particularly the United States, China, and India. The United States, under its Indo Pacific strategy, seeks to maintain a free and open Indo Pacific, emphasizing maritime security, freedom of navigation, and countering China's growing influence. However, the US has already established its Africa Command, also known as AFRICOM, and its combined Joint Task Force Horn of Africa (CGTF) HOA in Djibouti, highlighting the strategic importance of the location for regional security. From its Camp Lemonnier base, which is a key hub for military operation in the region, which supports activities like counterterrorism efforts in Yemen and Somalia, US is already present on the ground. The Chinese presence, on the other side, in the Indian Ocean has expanded significantly with increased naval deployments and infrastructure investments under the Belt and Road Initiative, including its presence in Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and East Africa. These moves are aimed at securing China's vital sea lines of communication and projecting power westward. In response, India has also intensified its maritime diplomacy and naval modernization, viewing the Indian Ocean as its strategic backyard. It is particularly wary of China's encirclement strategy, often referred to as the strings of pearls, and has sought to strengthen ties with regional and extra regional partners, including US, Japan, and Australia, through platforms like Quad. This triangular power play is reshaping the Indian Ocean into a contested geopolitical arena where strategic alignments and maritime capabilities will determine the balance of power in the coming decades. The audience, of course, our esteemed guest is an expert, but I just take the privilege of showing you the importance and the volume of trade that happens in that particular area. If you see this chart from the left green column, if you look closely, the Strait of Malacca, which is represented here, and then red one, Bab el Mandeb, and if you connect a Strait of Hormuz, these three contains total 80% of the global trade, and which is also connecting Malacca Strait, which is the choke point in the area. So General Mahfouz will definitely speak at length, but I'm just trying to explain that this area is really a strategic, theater of competition for all these powers that we have mentioned. The audience, the strategic rivalry among the United States, China, and India in the Indian Ocean significantly influences the situation in Myanmar. often complicating efforts towards peace and stability. China has entrenched itself deeply in Myanmar through the China Myanmar Economic Corridor, also known as CMEC, which includes critical infrastructure like Kiakfu deep sea port and energy pipelines. These projects not only secure China's access to the Indian Ocean, but also bolster the military junta by providing economic and diplomatic support, especially in the aftermath of 2021 military coup d'etat. This backing has emboldened the regime in reducing its incentive to engage in meaningful peace process with ethnic armed groups of and other democratic forces. The audience, meanwhile, India, driven by its Act East policy, seeks to counterbalance China's influence through connectivity projects like KMTT Kaladan Multimodal Transport Project. However, its cautious approach, balancing strategic interest with democratic values, limits its leverage. The United States, on the other hand, though vocally supportive of democracy and imposing sanctions on the junta, has limited influence due to China's dominant presence in the theater. This fragmented international approach, shaped by broader Indo Pacific power dynamics, has turned Myanmar into a geopolitical chessboard. As a result, peacebuilding efforts are undermined, and the country risks becoming a proxy arena in the larger strategic contest, further destabilizing an already volatile region. Canada's Indo Pacific strategy complements this vision by promoting a rules based international order, enhancing maritime domain awareness, and supporting climate resilience, areas where Bangladesh's voice and leadership are increasingly vital. The audience, as we delve into today's discussions, let us reflect on how power is being redefined, not just through military might, but through diplomacy, economic interdependence, and regional solidarity. Let us also explore how Bangladesh can position itself strategically in this evolving landscape, drawing strength from its geography, partnership, and aspirations. The audience, without further ado, let me introduce our esteemed guest, Dr. Mahfuzur Rahman, and who has had an illustrious career in Bangladesh Army. Dr. Mahfuzur Rahman retired as a Lieutenant General. He is a distinguished military leader and scholar who served as the principal staff officer to the Prime Minister of Bangladesh until his retirement in 2020. Commissioned into the infantry in 1981, he held numerous key command and instructional roles, including Director of Military Operations and Commandant of two premier military institutions. A graduate of prestigious Defense College in Bangladesh, India, and the UK, he holds multiple advanced degrees, including a PhD in non-traditional security strategy. He played a pivotal role in Bangladesh's UN peacekeeping efforts and was recognized as a gender champion and co-chair of the Women, Peace and Security Chiefs of Defense Network. An accomplished author and speaker, he continues to contribute to national and international discourses on peace and security. Welcome, General Mahfouz, and I am also, let me take this opportunity as well, that I am a student of his back in 1989 when I was a cadet in military academy. So I do very humbly remember his enormous ability to teach and instruct. So welcome, General Mahfouz, to the platform, and we are deeply appreciative of your time and energy, which you are voluntarily, giving to us tonight. Floor is yours, sir. Go ahead.
If you could bring the first slide. Okay. The subject is known to you, and thank you, Sir Kaisa, for having me. And next slide, please. I'd like to take about 20 minutes, and this is how I would like to go about. First, I'll talk about changing nature of power, primarily geopolitics and importance of Indian Ocean, and regional geopolitics, where I'll talk about India and China factor, and finally Bangladesh perspective. Next. In the beginning of this 20th century, we saw unipolar world, mainly led by United Kingdom. And then after Second World War, we experienced a bipolar world. After dismemberment of USSR, unipolar, and arguably from 2003, we are seeing multipolar world shaping. So in that situation, when it revolves from this direction one after the another, then there is conflict, alliances, cooperation, of course, competition and opportunity, those who can exploit. So power is a dynamic process. It is shifting horizontally, vertically, and geographically. When I say horizontally, it is shifting from the Greek to the Roman, Roman to Persian, Persian to Ottoman, Ottoman to European, or the West. And when I'm talking about vertically power shifting, I'm talking about nationalization, regionalization, internationalization, and globalization. And geographically, it is shifting now from west to east, from north to south. So this is a kind of a dynamic process in the international system. So the great power relationship, I do not really call it great power rivalry. It's a kind of relationship of the great powers in an anarchic international system. That's how they behave. I'm a student of a structural realism, theoretically talking about. It is the structure of the international system. It is the architecture of the international system that largely explains how the state behave in international system in day-to-day basis. So there is a security competition and there is no higher authority of the state. So every state want to secure itself, and that is there is a security competition. What we are seeing for that security competition, we are seeing containment measures, counter containment measures, mainly by Quad, BRIC, AUKUS, G7. G7 is not politically neutral. Its mission or vision, it says that the world advanced economics will get together to deal with problem in trades and etc. So that's how China is worried about it. And then we have BRICS, de-dollarization, and a string of pearls and necklace of diamond in regional spaces. We talk about the lower left corner is the string of pearl, but China would like to have its sea line of communication protected. That's why it has collaboration with a host of countries for the seaports. And as a countermeasure, the other regional heavyweight, India, has come up with a necklace of diamond for their putting their interest in the sea. Next, please. Okay, just a recap as Dr. 𝐂𝐴T𝐚𝐧 has already said. I would like to say from the left, Babel, Mandeb, Hormuz, Chabahar, Gwadar and Pansi from Pakistan, and below Pansi you see Diego Garcia, and then Hamban Tota, Paira in Bangladesh, Paira Port, Situe in Myanmar, and the state of Malacca. And the canal is a planned one. I'm not sure when it's going to take place. No ocean needs strategic stability more than Indian Ocean. It is the demographic and strategic hub of 21st century. It has 1/3 of world population, which are young. And Indian Ocean will be the global power dynamics, where it will be revealed in my talk. This will also be exposed. Next, please. And you see, Pakistan and China, these are two pivot countries through which China is coming and expanding into Indian Ocean to the south. And if you have marked, these both countries have instability and institutional deficit. It is not for anything else. This is also a geopolitical turmoil. And importantly, in these both two countries, a part is bigger than the whole. Meaning the military is greater than the country itself in both these countries. And then we have the other potential pivot countries which are coming out from China, Afghanistan, and Iran. And next, please. West and US ignored Indian Ocean for a very long time because of their Atlantic and Pacific focus, understandably, for Nazi Germany, Second World War, First World War, and Imperial Japan, and Cold War for etc. And now they are pivoting to Asia and in Indian Ocean. Next. Okay. Indian Ocean rivalry between US and China in the Pacific interlocks with a regional rivalry between India and China. The presence of China in India, near China and India near Hormuz and Bab el-Mandeb will be expanding along with USA. And about the Malacca Strait, the old fear, the Ming China world was disrupted by Portuguese in 1511. I always say this: China is more of a civilization than of a nation, and civilization will always trace back to history. So in case of Ming dynasty's debacle, they always trace back to history so that they don't have to repeat this again. I'll come up with this story a little later. Next. And if you see the second point, Kausar rightly mentioned, whoever is the Lord of Malacca has his hands on the throat of the world. And if we consider world is an egg, then Hormuz is the yolk. So that is the importance. And about the container traffic, the petroleum, it was already mentioned by the moderator. Thank you. Next. So the first great game, about 400 BC, took place in the Rimland, as you can see here, between the Greek and the Persian. And the second great game, about 750 BC, between Arabs and Chinese, is near to the heartland. So these have connotation. And this is my understanding that the third great game of geopolitics will be between East and West in the Indian Ocean region. Next. Now, regional geopolitics about India. India is the third largest consumer of oil after US and China. It is expanding horizontally, also through its Look East and Act East policy, India-Myanmar highway, and in the East, and relation with GCC countries, and relation with Iran and recovering Iraq. India has a deal to import 7.5 million tons of LNG annually from Iran. Both Iran and India regional power, but they are not competing. Iran may be a strategic rear base of India, like Afghanistan against Pakistan. Next, please. And India is helping Iran to develop Chabahar port in the Arabian Sea. The idea is to link Afghanistan with Chabahar port, which is the backyard of Pakistan. However, China has cut a deal of $400 billion with Iran in 2021, primarily to have communication infrastructure development, connecting Afghanistan and Iran to Chabahar port, of course, with China. And Indian economic culture ties with both Persian and Arabian shore. And Iran appeals to India as a viable transit state to Central Asian energy. Next. And to talk about China, Deng Xiaoping guidance of peaceful rise, hide your capacities, bide your time, free from ambition, these have been replaced with China Dream. When I say China Dream, the China Dream is to become a powerful China in Asia and a leading power in the world. China very well understands what happened to China between 1850 and 1950, what the big powers did to them. That's the era of humiliation. China wouldn't like to fall into that trap again. And more than 85% of the Chinese oil passes through Malacca Strait. Let me share this story about this Malacca Strait. There was a conflict in 16th century, early 16th century, between the Sultan of Malacca and the Portuguese Admiral Albuquerque. And China supported Sultan of Malacca. And Chinese business suffered heavily for doing this. That's why China, for taking any strategic decision, will not take only one side. If there are a number of sides, they will not take chance. They will have connection, communication with all the sides. We will see in case of Myanmar situation now as well. Now, seaport at Gwadar, Chabahar, and Sittwe. I mean, through all these, China is coming down to south into Indian Ocean. And there are deep seaport connection intent for sea line of communication along the southern Eurasian dreamland for the dual use, both for civil and the military. And about Admiral Zheng He that I was talking about, 15th century Ming Dynasty explorer, his story says Indian Ocean is part of China's saga. Next. This is Zheng He's route of commerce. As you see, the primary and the secondary both fleet. If you see that connection and communication with Persian and Arabian shore as well as shore of Eastern Africa. When China is developing infrastructure in Tanzania, Kenya, Somalia, Mozambique, etc., then it is not just doing it because it had connection. It had did business on those shore as well. Next, please. So this is currently Chinese energy route. And if you see with the Zheng He's commerce route, it is almost the same. Only thing is that, next one, please. Only thing is that you see the Ogaden Basin. Interestingly, Ogaden Basin has a huge reserve of gas these days. What China is doing from Sri Lanka and Hambantota, they are coming directly, not following the Malacca Strait, going to Sittwe, and is energy pipeline, gas and oil. Almost 14% of it goes through this energy corridor. Next. And the other issue is that China cannot take, no longer it accepts that the Indian Ocean for the Indians only. So China is vertically expanding through Pakistan, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, through Belt and Road Initiative. It irritates India. In Doklam standoff in 2017 and Nakula standoff in 2021, Galwan in 2020 and 21. I'll come in the map a little later. These are intentionally, my understanding, is to overload the decision-making cycle of India and irritate the neighbor and increase its defense expenditure. Next. These already mentioned by the moderator. On the left, if you see that energy pipeline that I was talking about from Sittwe going to Combing, and India, and also they have number of hydro project, 6 gigawatt hydro project plan. India is coming through from India, Myanmar to Thailand highway. And on the right side, this is the Kaladan project, which Kaushal was talking about. Next. Now, Bangladesh perspective. If you see the map of Bangladesh, this is very small on the, can I show this? Okay, this is, okay. This is the map of Bangladesh, and there, Bangladesh location has put India in a strategic limitation, which is known as Siliguri corridor, which is there, which is 22 kilometer wide. China is here, Nepal here, and Bangladesh is here. And this is the Doklam incident I was talking about in 2017, and Nakula I was talking about 2021. It's very interesting. And if you mark about this Tista project, I'll come about a little later. So in Doklam, incident took place in June 2017, and Rohingya atrocities and expulsion of Rohingya took place in August 2017. Nakula incident took place in January 2021, and the coup in Myanmar happened in February 2021. These may be coincidence, or maybe the regional power, China, with its strategic power, creating condition for India so that India is bogged down with internal dynamics when these regional activities can go on. And of course, China is claiming Arunachal, this is Arunachal, as its part of China. So all these are going on. And recently, a Tista project, I'll be coming in the next slide, that both China and India are competing for this in Bangladesh. Next. So in talking about Bangladesh perspective, Bangladesh holds the key to the result of a long dormant historical trade route between two rising giants of 21st century, namely India and China. The water sharing is a part of geopolitics. Yanglan or Brahmaputra River between India, China and Bangladesh, and Tista River, there is a tug of war between China and India. India wouldn't like China meddling in the Siliguri corridor or Chicken Neck. Their presence of China is not liked by India. So, and on the other side, US is pushing Dhaka for two defense deal. Joshomia, it is talking about security and information sharing agreement, and AXA, it is for logistic agreement, both defense agreement. And China, US and India metrics, there are triangle and quadrangle geopolitics here. US, China and India is the one matrix, and by getting Bangladesh into it, it is a quadrangle. So in this relationship, there is harmony and partly disharmony. There is stability, positive stability and negative stability. So these are some of the issues which Bangladesh is handling. And the balance, whether Bangladesh should balance or bandwagon. Bangladesh is a member of Indo-Pacific Alliance as well as Belt and Road Initiative. Thank you. Next. So Myanmar hill tribes are now part of new geopolitics. It's bordered by both the regional power and with resource, a lot of resources. So both regional power would like Myanmar as vassal state. Bangladesh is a buffer to China's energy corridor, and fall of Sheikh Hasina regime, there is an Indian anxiousness. If Dhaka is leaning towards Beijing, and that comes from Maldives syndrome. And China needs a kind of stability in Myanmar in maintaining relation with all warring parties, means all ethnic armed organization and juntas. Then US engaged with National Unity Government, NLD, exile government, and 3KC. When I say 3KC, I mean the states with 𝐂𝐴𝐻, Kayak, Kachin, and Chin state of Myanmar. These are Christian population is a large number here, especially in Chin state, it is about 86%. The missionaries are very active in these states. So China has a concern about this. Then we have Burma Act and upcoming Rohingya Act. So all this tells you, tell you that US has interest in this part of the world. And Rohingya issue is more of a geopolitical now. So repatriation is likely to be in limbo. Next. So in conclusion, I'd like to refer Robert D. Kaplan, Bangladesh, in fact, is a prisoner of geography. And Kaplan says in his book Monsoon, China, India, and other Asian nations jockeying for position with one of the world's worst, widest, wealthiest, and most strategically placed rogue regime. In Rohingya crisis, both regional power, including Russia, who is considered our strategic partner, sided with Myanmar. I ask this question: where did we go wrong? Do we need to revisit our policy? India horizontally and China vertically expanding into Indian Ocean region, movement of geopolitical tectonic plates in two different directions, causing tremor. Smaller countries like Bangladesh need to learn how to navigate in this murky water. Next. This is purely for Bangladesh. This is, I think, my recommendation and options. I say that we need to study there is a necessity to study and calibrating our policy, and then meritocracy, psycho-intellectual depth. When I say psycho-intellectual depth, I mean in each layer should be meritocratic people and people of wisdom who should be able to outwit the adversary in meritocracy, in negotiation, and then develop credible deterrence. My understanding, 2017, 16, and 17 happened Rohingya issues because Myanmar military junta very well knew Bangladesh does not have a deterrence capability or credible deterrence capability. So that was possibly the main reason. And we need to develop negotiating skills. In Bangladesh, we are not very good negotiator. We mix up between national interest and personal interest. And then we need to speak truth to the power. We are not telling truth. Both our civil and military bureaucrat are not telling truth to our political master. That is one of the reasons. So thank you very much. I've come to the end of my presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Such a, very broad overview of the strategic competition in the region, which is essentially going to impact peace in Myanmar. The audience, we are just done with the presentation part with General Mahfouz, and now we are also very happy to have with us today our founder advisor David Newman, Dr. Ernest Thiessen, the one of the core members of our project, and our founding director, Dr. Hilal Mohiuddin of our institute. So we all be engaging now in a I would say relax a Q&A session. We are not in any media per se. So we'll very politely kind of ask General Mahfouz to highlight some of the questions that we might have, and also we'll take some questions from the audience if it comes around from various social media sites, because we have live stream there. So I think it's time to open the floor for Q&A, and I would like to take the privilege of maybe abusing the privilege of moderator here, but I would like to ask General Mahfouz one quick question before I kind of open for others. Is um, Sir, would you really think that Americans would eventually, and in more concrete terms, would engage in Myanmar in the future? They have had Burma Act. We all know the change of administration now from Democrats to Republicans, and especially Trump's administration with their foreign policy. Do you still believe that Americans would be pushing these two agreements that you showed us today? And also, in general, your perspective of American genuine interest and involvement here. Your comment, sir.
Has involved and spent a lot of resources in coming or pivoting in Asia. The main idea of US pivoting to Asia is a containment strategy, containing China. So in that direction, including US and their allies, there are about 180 military bases around East and South China Sea. So all these efforts were taken to contain China. And China understood it and knowingly well. It has broken off that particular entanglement, stranglehold. So China is through BRI, it is coming down to Indian Ocean to the south, and of course through BRI to Europe and different places. So these containment and these resources spent has been made irrelevant by China. So this is the one issue. The other issue is that China diversified its economic activities. If you recall that in 2000, with ASEAN countries, China had $40 billion business, and now it has $1 trillion business. So the ASEAN country wouldn't like to side with the West and go into containment because ASEAN countries' business with USA is something like $450 billion. So countries have interest. China has come in a big way in the economic sphere to connect various states and countries. So that way, it is getting more and more difficult for US and West to contain China. But please remember, the idea is a peer competitors. US and its allies wouldn't like to see that China is turning into a hegemon in Asia. India wouldn't like a member of Quad. Australia wouldn't like that. So there will be an effort to contain China. If they have failed in East and South China Sea, they would certainly like to have a blocking position in Myanmar and in Pakistan. And if you see the Indian Ocean from peninsular India, the Indian Ocean is divided into two, Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea. In the apex of the Arabian Sea, there is Pakistan and Iran. And you see both the countries are in turmoil. And if you see in the apex of Bay of Bengal, it is Bangladesh and Myanmar. You see they are also in instability, in trouble. This is not just a coincidence. This is a geopolitical movement that goes on. So I think US and its allies will not give China a free run through Myanmar, though China, because of its proximity, because of its ethnic connection in the Sagaing and San state, there are ethnic Han Chinese. So China will have a upper hand in connecting Myanmar, and there is, of course, a gravitational pull because of the nearness. So, etc. China will always dominate in Myanmar.
Thank you, sir. Your observation is very interesting because of the way you explained that the mass unrest, or let's say, uncertainty in Iran, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, Myanmar might be a coincidence or something that we should be worried about. Floor is open. David, Dr. Arnes, Dr. Hilal, if you would like to engage the speaker. Thank you.
I'll just start by asking what role could each of Canada, Malaysia, and Singapore play in trying to bring stability and sustainable peace and equal opportunity for all in Myanmar?
Thank you very much for that question. I recall I had a meeting with Mr. Bob Ray, who was a Rohingya representative to Prime Minister Trudeau. And we understand the Canadian interest for peace and security and stability and human rights and anti-genocide agenda. And Canada does not believe that because of color or differences in religion or in ideology, people should be persecuted. So for that ideology, Canada has a lot of weightage and importance, value-based importance, and its ethos has a lot to do in international arena and galvanizing the move against the persecution which is going on, not only against Rohingyas, but also against other minorities in Myanmar. So as long as there is injustice taking place in Myanmar, then the situation is hardly going to change. So Canada, and you mentioned about Malaysia. Malaysia, part of ASEAN, and is now chair of ASEAN, and they have also deputed a Rohingya representative to take care of the Rohingya issue. Malaysia is also suffering like Bangladesh. There are a lot of boat people going to Malaysia and Indonesia, so they are directly affected. And then about Singapore. Singapore is one of the largest foreign direct investment that comes from Singapore. So Singapore is also very important, and they can play their role if these three countries get together and try to bring a better life for the not only for the Rohingyas but everyone in Myanmar. Because of these three countries, people wouldn't like to look at them that they have other ulterior motive. They are sort of benign mid-power, and they are for humanity and human upliftment. So that could be headed by Canada. So these are, I think, that's very important issues.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very, very much. I leave it up to the others now to do the questioning on specifics. I'm particularly interested in the negotiation need, and hope Ernest will jump on that one.
Well, we're just at the beginning stages of imagining how the stakeholders in Myanmar, will negotiate a peace in Myanmar, and clearly China will be one of the biggest influencing outside countries there, and so it would be great, once we get a little bit farther along, to have your comments and feedback on the work that we are doing, Professor Rahman.
Thank you, Ernest. Thank you very much. Dr. Helal?
Oh, you're muted.
I have two specific questions. It's about the confusion, uncertainties, and different types of debates and discourses that are just flying all around in Bangladesh regarding the humanitarian passage. It's not corridor, but it created a lot of confusions among different people because they don't really understand the geopolitics. It's a very common. Even politicians seems very naive about geopolitical game, whether Bangladesh will be playing as an actor or Bangladesh will be used as a theater. So my question is, China is very relaxed. It looks like they clearly mentioned in the last meeting that it's a Bangladesh domestic matter, and we will not be making any influence in this. It looks like they're very relaxed. They're not really caring about this humanitarian passage proposal of the UN. So why they are appearing this relaxed. This is one question, and I got answer from your discussion that they are now such a big superpower in this region, especially ASEAN is not also interested to invite or welcome American hegemony or influence in this region. This is one of the reasons. Then India is not wanting it. At the same time, no, sorry, I just made a mistake there. Anyway, so this is one thing. And China's relax, we understand it. The other thing,
let me address this particular
address
issue.
one by one. Yeah, UN probably it's
Okay.
connected, but I am putting it again. Whether it will increase Bangladesh's bargaining power when UN is there, because we commonly understand that without UN involvement, Rohingya repatriation will never happen. Thank you.
This is very interesting. I was talking about it. I wrote a piece in National Dailies in April 2024 about this corridor or humanitarian support. Then again in May 2024, that's a year back, in one of the seminar, I talked about it. And then again in 2025 in April, I talked about it in Dhaka University in one of the seminar. And people tried to connect this with me, and thereafter in Myanmar, INGO talked about it, and then it got the currency. And people tried to connect that Joe General said this, and then from international organization, and that this came up. In fact, we have no connection in this. My understanding is that in your pain and in your sorrows, if your neighbor is indifferent, in your happiness and joy, you will also not remember your neighbor. So if Myanmar is suffering now, if Arakan is suffering now, and you are indifferent, when they will be affluent, when they will be stable, they are also not going to remember you. This is normal logic. And if I just connect, I think there was a situation that Israel could have done a little better when there was a civil war going on between Syria and various factions. Israel could have given refuge to some of the Syrian refugees and could expose their vision towards humanitarian assistance. And people in Syria, those who would have gone across and would take treatment in Israel, would be at least could be able to say that, no, we always heard about this, but there is a different Israel. And so those kind of connections somehow we miss because of this myopic vision of the politics. I think in Bangladesh, we lack strategic culture. I'm sorry to say that. So we are not understanding that this is very important. What I am saying that this humanitarian assistance should be under the umbrella of Bangladesh. It should not be hijacked by any other group or organization, or those who have ulterior motive of different agenda.
Even
That
not UN?
was
Even not UN?
UN, but within the umbrella of Bangladesh and Myanmar or Arakan interest, not outside that. At times, we see that the national interest differ from the international interest. So Bangladesh would like that it should be under the national interest of Bangladesh. So that was my understanding. But people have taken it differently and are thinking that some other regional power would come and the US would come through this, and this is going to be a problematic area, and maybe the Chittagong Hill tracts would also come into this vortex. But understandably, there is also concern because of the Chittagong Hill tracts. We suffered for 25 years, and we wouldn't like that foreign power coming here and then getting into this. And if you had been following, there was KNF, Kuki Chin National Front. They came up with another agenda, and this is 100% Christian organization, and they would like to establish a Christian country in the south. And there is a Rohingya who are 100% Muslim, and then if they have a armed group 100% Muslim and 100% Christian armed group in the same area, a different Pandora's box is going to be opened. So those are the issues people are very worried about it. Maybe those are the for them. But I always say this, that for example, Arakan army and the Rohingyas and the Rakhine, they do not have very good relationship. Bonohomi, they don't have. But take an example that people are sick in Arakan, they suffered casualties in Arakan army, and across the border in Bangladesh, in Bandarban area, they come for treatment, and their treatment is served by the nurses and doctors of Rohingya origin. See, that connection would have been built. They are not going to hate those Rohingyas who saved their life in Bangladesh, and they are going to carry it forward across the border and tell their people that they are our people, we need to take care of it. So those kind of humanitarian and value-based understanding is necessary in the leadership, especially in political leadership.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a very eye-opening discussion indeed.
Okay, General Mahfouz, I would also like to build upon Dr. Hilal's observations about the proposal of humanitarian corridor and etc. And of course, there are divided opinion in Bangladesh about it, and we also had one of the episodes where the presenter discussed quite at length about the options that Bangladesh might have. But my question is related to the geopolitics, as you are a subject matter expert here. So geopolitically, as Dr. Hilal alluded to, we don't see any tension within China. And actually, Chinese ambassador spoke at BISS, where Dr. Imtiaz was one of the presenters a couple of weeks ago, I believe. And he mentioned very clearly that they are not bothered, in a sense, and they are not anxious about those proposals and Americans coming in. And also, sir, we don't see any movement in the UN itself, because the Secretary General visited the area. He spoke quite at length. He went to Rohingya camps as well, and he did mention in his press statement that some kind of support needed for the strangled people from Arakan. But we have never heard anything in the General Assembly or even a small movement in the Security Council. I understand the Security Council will not pass it through because of China there, but no movement in the UN. So is it dead already, or do you think there might be some scope in the future? And lastly, I would like to also build up on your comment that, do you think Bangladesh is again missing the boat? Thank you.
I said in one of my talk in seminar in Dhaka University that we missed 3 opportunities, and the last opportunity we are likely to miss because we lack strategic culture. As I said, that irrespective of what kind of relationship you have with a country or with junta and with Arakan army, it is very important that what kind of relationship you build from people to people relationship. That's very important. There are families across the political border on either side. We have Rakhines in our side of the border. They have Rakhines in their side of the border. There are families suffering, and we have the option to help them, and we are not helping them, and they are not going to like it. So those are some of the issues that local politicians should take into consideration. At the same time, if Bangladesh does not want that there should be a corridor, unofficially, there will be flow of supplies because this is pure economics. The demand and supply. Only thing is that possibly a kg of rice you would get through corridor, maybe say $1. Now possibly you have to spend $5, but this will travel. But at the end, it is the people on either side, they would be suffering because of the inflation and because of price goods, etc. Of course, the people in Rakhine, irrespective of any caste and creed, they are suffering. They could not go into production. Agriculture is the mainstay, and could not go into the field that way for last 2 years because of this turmoil what is going on. And of course, the junta's four-cut strategy. Four-cut strategy is the movement control, medicine movement control, and then food movement control, and the movement of people within the state and state to state. Those four-cut strategy was taken by junta. Still, they are capable of doing that because the food supply, etc., are coming from the south through sea to city port from Yangon and etc. That has been stopped. So people are suffering, and they could not go for production, agriculture production, because they did not get the fertilizer. They could not do the irrigation. Electricity was not there. So for all this reason, they are suffering. And I think that Bangladesh need to look into this, getting out of the myopic view.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much once again. Gentlemen, if you don't have any question, then I would like to close the session. Do you have any further question, David? Ernest? Okay. And okay, thank you. I actually would like to have just have a quick comment here. In the last slide, General Mahfouz actually spoke about lack of skills in negotiation in Bangladesh. He only spoke about the country he's residing in. So this is something important because in our project, current project, Dr. Ernest and his team is building. They have already built a tool, and we are going to actually test it. And from hypothesis to practice, we'll see how we can train. So through this platform, General Mahfouz, we would like to invite your team and your group. If you are interested, then we will definitely, when we visit Bangladesh with our project, we can sit together and practice and show the capability of the tool. So with this little bit of comment, I would like to thank once again General Mahfouz for his wonderful broad overview of the whole Indian Ocean region and why the peace in Myanmar might be a little more than complicated as we see. And it is important to understand in today's geopolitics the interest of the big nations, because as you have already seen from the lecture today, that big nations like United States, China, and India, they have their own interests, and they will definitely safeguard it at the cost of other things. And there are a couple of coincidences which was really interesting through this presentation. Dear audience, these are your food for thoughts in the future, that how these are interlinked together in that particular area. And before we conclude, dear audience, in our first book, Dr. Halal and I, we wrote about Malacca Strait in chapter 4 and 5. You can revisit. We first spoke about the geopolitical tension, which is going to shape the resolution of Rohingya conflict. When our book was published, Myanmar was still under NLD. Aung San Suu Kyi was in power. Military didn't step in, but things have changed reasonably from there. However, in the conclusion today, we are going to be very keen in inviting more presenters in our project and in our series of webinars. And we are going to keep asking how we can really propose to end the decades-long armed conflict in Myanmar. The audience, please tune in and follow us in our social media platforms. You will find us in all these social media, Facebook, and these are being live streamed as well. We are going to arrange a couple of more webinars in the future. So be well till then, and please follow us. And this is a project funded by Global Affairs Canada, and is called Peace in Myanmar. And we have our website. You will also can find the details update of this project. Thank you very much once again, John Mahfouz. Stay well, sir, wherever you are, and you are still very, very active. And it's very good to know that you also started working in a think tank in Bangladesh. Goodbye, and stay well. Bye bye.
Thank you.